All right, so 1988's Beetlejuice is directed by Tim Burton, which is a director I'm not overwhelmingly fond of, but there are a few movies, such as this one, that I do quite enjoy. The screenplay here is by Michael McDowell and Warren Scarron, and the story is by Michael McDowell and Larry Wilson. Stars Michael Keaton as the character Beetlejuice, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they explain in the movie why his name is different from both the name in the title and also the name that the people say three times to essentially summon him. If they did explain that in the movie, feel free to let me know down in the comments, but it's something I've never really quite understood, but it doesn't really bother me that much. It stars Alec Baldwin as well, much younger Alec Baldwin, almost unrecognizable just because of how young he is in this movie as the character Adam, and we have Gina Davis as Barbara, which are the two characters we start off in the very beginning. Honestly, I would say they are the two main characters of this movie. Beetlejuice, even though his name is in the title, well, I guess it's not. Um, he's not really the main character of this film. It is definitely Adam and Barbara, played by Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, and I really love these two characters. You feel so much for them because basically, if you don't know the plot of this film, they start off as just a nice married couple on a staycation at home, renovating their house and whatnot. Alec Baldwin's character builds these little models. He has a whole model of the entire town and builds these little models of the buildings and the houses and, the nature and whatnot. And it's a really cool looking model, actually. But yeah, he's working on that, and they're also renovating the house, like I said before. And then they die, and it's kind of funny with their death scene, because they drive off a bridge. Essentially, they like swerve off a bridge because they're trying to miss this dog, and their car, it flips over and falls into the river below. So they're upside down in the river below. Yeah, sure, they could like drown or whatever. But the way the movie makes it seem is just like, oh, they died super quick. Dude, I could have survived that. Like, that really wasn't that fast of a river. I feel like they probably would have been fine. But hey, this movie's cheesy, it's campy. There's moments where characters are like levitating and you can obviously see the wires. Some of it I feel like was a little bit intentional, especially with the character Beetlejuice, but it's not a perfect movie by any means. Um, I mean, there's a lot of effects in here that really do not hold up, but there's some effects in here that do. I mean, most of this is practical effects because at the time they really had not many other ways of doing it, and the little visual effects they had at the time were not great by today's standards whatsoever. But I would say that it really does fit in the movie that it's in, and there's a few shots in there where I'm just like, oh, that just looks really bad. But a lot of it's just cheesy, campy fun that you kind of come to expect with this movie. And why people love it so much is just because of the imagery in this film. It's so dark and, there's a lot of color to it as well. But, you know, it, the character designs, you have the dude with the shrunken head. You have the one lady who, is cut from the torso. And so you have the torso up, and then next to her you have her legs, which is just a hilarious image there. What else do you have in here? I mean, you see lost souls and whatnot, which is kind of a foreshadowing to the events of this film. Spoiler alert, but it's been out since 1988. Excuse me, hiccups there. So yeah, let me look at some of my notes here. We do have another actor in here that a lot of you might know from a very popular show called Stranger Things. We have Winona Ryder, a much younger Winona Ryder, as Lydia, who is the daughter to Catherine O'Hara and Jeffrey Jones's character. We have Delia, or is it Delia? I'm not sure how to pronounce it there. Catherine O'Hara's character, and Charles, Jeffrey Jones' character. And then also, I don't necessarily know what he's supposed to be, kind of like a business partner to Charles, but we are actually a business partner to Delia. Again, hopefully I'm saying her name right. But we have Glenn Shaddix as Otho, or Otho, however you want to say it. And yeah, he's a very interesting character indeed. Um, a lot of these characters are very much uh, very exaggerated, especially Winona Ryder's character. She is, especially in the beginning of the film, she kind of changes a little bit throughout the course of the film, but very, very much emo, very, very much the kind of person that you would see working in a Hot Topic. No offense to anybody that works at Hot Topic, but yeah, she's there's even a moment where she's like writing on one piece of paper. She's like, "I am so alone," crumples it up, throws it away. And the next piece of paper, "I am so utterly alone." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, I get it. You're goth, you're emo." And that's the kind of shit from Tim Burton that you kind of come to expect. But, you know, it is what it is. The characters are very exaggerated. And it's done for a reason, and I do enjoy it. It makes the movie even funnier to watch, even the kind of moments that might not necessarily supposed to be super hilarious, but somehow with just the campiness of the movie, it just adds to the comedy of it. I think this is a very funny movie for sure. It's a very inappropriate movie for children, I would say. I do remember watching this as a kid, and there were some things that I kind of picked up on back then, but there's a lot that I didn't. Like, I didn't even remember there's an F bomb in this movie. There's only one. I believe this is a PG-13 film, if I'm not mistaken. It should be, at least. So, yeah, there is an F bomb in this movie from the character of Beetlejuice. Honestly, most of the inappropriate things that come from this movie, if not all of them, do come from the character of Beetlejuice, played by Michael Keaton, brilliantly. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I heard that that Johnny Depp was the original choice for Beetlejuice, but I could be completely wrong on that. Comment down below if I am. But very much would have been a completely different film if Johnny Depp had been cast instead of Michael Keaton. Um, but yeah, Beetlejuice is the one that makes this movie very much inappropriate, and he is a very perverted character for sure. You know, he's trying to essentially marry a young girl, an underage girl in this movie, and he's like peeking up skirts and whatnot, and he is the Harvey Weinstein of the undead world, I guess you could say. Um, he's very much a perv, but you kind of love him. He's hilarious. He's over the top. That's the word I was looking for. A lot of these characters are over the top, but nobody's more over the top than Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice in this movie. Absolutely. But the heart of this film for sure is the relationship not only between Adam and Barbara, the husband and wife, but between Adam, Barbara, and Lydia. In a way, Lydia, especially towards the end of the film, kind of becomes like their kid, and they kind of I wouldn't necessarily say it's foreshadowing. I guess it could be considered that, but in the beginning of the film, you know, it's mentioned that they haven't been able to have a kid, and you know that Lydia kind of becomes their kid. And I hate to spoil things here, like especially at the ending of the movie, but she's getting back from school, and Adam's character's talking to her about like, "Oh, how do you do on the math test?" and stuff like that. And I'm just like, see, they have their kid. And that's like I feel like that's a minute detail that most people kind of overlook with this movie. Maybe not, but for me personally, like the heart of this movie and the kind of family aspects and the relationships within this are the things I care about most. You could completely take Beetlejuice out of this movie, and I would still very much enjoy it. Would it be the same movie? Not at all. There would be a lot of different stuff going on. Maybe some of the same stuff, but you know, when it comes to the character of Beetlejuice, he puts things in motion, and he really does make this film what it is. So part of me is kind of intrigued to see what they would do with this type of movie without Beetlejuice in it, and just have this husband and wife who recently died have these people moving into their house and them trying to scare them out of there, and then the people trying to make money off of them and make it like a tourist destination or whatever. And I mean, a lot of that probably would have been the same, but with Beetlejuice in there, like it's the added aspect of Lydia, having to accept to marry him in order to save Adam and Barbara. Again, hate that I'm spoiling things here, but it's been out since 1988, so there's I want to talk about it, okay? Um, and plus, a lot of people have probably seen it. If you clicked on this video, most likely you've seen the movie. So, yeah, don't get mad at me. I don't care. But yeah, Jeffrey Jones and Catherine O'Hara in here, they are terrible parents. They are absolutely horrible parents in this movie. They don't seem to give a shit about their daughter. And the fact that Adam and Barbara are pretty much her parents by the end of the movie, it's just like, damn, they had no development whatsoever. They had no character arc. There's really little to no redeeming qualities about these two, other than a few moments where they're just like, "Oh no, stop, save them, don't do that." Um, but like, yeah, they didn't really change a whole lot. Um, but yeah, I do love those characters, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis's character. As much as she is like very much exaggerated as a goth icon, Winona Ryder is very great in this film. I love the relationship she has between, with Adam and Barbara. Um, Kind of having them be the parents that she never really had and giving her good guidance and being her friend when she really had none. So I enjoy a lot of that. Let me look at my notes here, make sure I'm not missing anything. I do think there's a lot of really cool world building in this movie, and this is the reason I want a sequel. Not only because you can have updated effects to make things look even better, and honestly, I feel like a remake at this point, it might be a controversial thing to say, but I think a remake of this or like a soft reboot would even be an interesting idea. I feel like Michael Keaton would most likely be down for it. I feel like they've had talks about making a sequel for this movie for years, but nothing has ever happened with it. And I feel like now, just in this age of doing remakes and reboots and whatnot, it feels like the perfect time to do it. So, excuse me, we will see if they end up making a sequel for this film and see how that is, because a lot of these reboots from movies back in like the 90s, 80s, 70s, whatever it might be, a lot of them turn out to be shit. But, you know, maybe it'd be good as long as they bring back Michael Keaton, get the right writers, and maybe Tim Burton would come back to direct, but maybe somebody else would take the helm. So that would be interesting. But yeah, some really cool world building in here with not only like basically a different dimension where you have these sandworm type things like Dune, but like Hot Topic Dune essentially. That's kind of interesting there, even though the effects look pretty horrible there. In fact, I would say those scenes, even though it makes it clear why they can't leave the house, those scenes, are they completely necessary? Not really, but, whatever. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I want to say. Let me look at the other side of this paper here. I think I pretty much covered everything. So, yes, do not let your kids watch this Halloween season. I'd say they probably have to be like 13, because it's probably PG-13. So I'd say if they're 13, let them watch it if they want to. Will they like it if they're 13 in this day and age? I don't know, because some of the effects don't hold up, and sometimes younger kids nowadays can't really appreciate that kind of stuff. But a lot of times they have to get a little bit older to actually appreciate it, like I did, honestly. So, yeah, there's my review for 1988's Beetlejuice. Have you seen it? I hope so, because I gave away a lot of the plot. But, yeah, do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you in the middle? I would love to know down in the comments below. Have you not seen it? Are you planning on watching it this Halloween season? Why or why not? Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I will be back in the next video to review a movie or TV show. See you later.